I wouldn't call it a concept album. It's a collection of songs from a certain moment in time, and I love, I love the cohesiveness that came out of that, because it's very personal, and that's why I named it Joan. Joan's my middle name, and a lot of my family and some of my close friends have only ever called me Joan my entire life. So it's kind of like a little snapshot into like a more personal, version of myself.
Help me understand how I turn this around. Every time I look up, you won't put that bottle down. Counting 1, 2, 3, but the joke's on me. Joke's on me. The joke's on me. Down to the wire.
I want to officially welcome you to Pop-Up Conversations. We're located in Toronto, and we talk to artists across the country about their musical journey and projects they have going in the moment. So welcome to the show, Alicia.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
It would appear that you have lived a very creative life, and you have been all over the place. You spent a good chunk of time, your creative time here in Toronto. With all that you have accomplished, I'm curious to know the going back to music. I guess it was in 2017 when you put out your debut album. I want to get a sense of the return to music, which you describe as your first love.
Yeah, well, yeah, I had spent a lot of time. I lived in Toronto for about 10 years, and I was based in Toronto and traveled around a lot doing theater. Okay. And but ever since I was little, when I was a little girl, I just wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be Mariah Carey, really, but that was 5-year-old Alicia's dream. But it wasn't until I met my producers, actually, Stuart Cameron and Peter Fusco, that I even considered making the move over to music instead of theater. It was just a world that I didn't know anything about. I did my post-secondary training in theater, and I spent a long time figuring out that world, and music was, it's kind of seemed really unattainable and difficult, and both of those things are still true, but I'm here now, so.
Okay, and but again, you've been in a really successful productions. I read that you're part of Soulpepper and Mirvish production and stuff like that. Those were really, at least for people who live out here, we know that those are really iconic establishments to be involved with. Mm-hmm. At any point in time, did you feel that while you were doing acting and theater and all of that, did it feel like you were kind of taken away from music, which you originally wanted to do, and that's why you eventually, stepped away?
No, I never really started in music until much later. So it never really felt like I was taken away from it. Theater is just kind of what I made the choice to do with my life. And it wasn't until about 2015. It was actually while I was working for Mirvish. I was doing the show once in Toronto, and that's when I met Stuart and Peter, and I had a friend introduce us, and this friend kind of pushed me to record some of my own stuff, because I was heavy into being an actor musician around Canada, and singing with lots of people all over the country, but I had never recorded my own music. So it wasn't something that was even really on my radar to do till then.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you for the medium now. You've done theater, you've done acting. What is it about music that you find Okay, tell me about the medium of music right now in terms of storytelling, as you're very steeped and very knowledgeable in theater and haven't done it that long. What does music bring to you as a storyteller, as opposed to what it did through theater?
It's much more of a connection with the audience, because it's about me.
Okay,
You know, in theater, you are
part of an
whatever
ensemble.
the
Yeah.
script tells you to be.
Okay.
You are the writer's version of somebody else, and you always bring a little bit of yourself to it. But when it's your own stuff, it's very vulnerable, and when people connect with that, it's just a much more rewarding, like the risk is higher, but the reward is also higher, and that's what I love about it.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, for the people who are going to see this later, I just want to reintroduce you again. We're talking to Alicia Toner. She's a singer-songwriter, alto PI. We're very excited to talk to you today, especially because your single just dropped on June the 11th, Jokes and Me, which we're going to get to. I know that it just seems like we're pacing ourselves there, but we're going to get there. I know that your album your album is going to drop on June the 25th, titled Joan, that we're going to talk about as well. But I typically want to just get the context and background of artists when I talk to them. I think it just makes you a more rounded person, and I'm really interested to see how you have navigated your way here. So I understand that you listen to really iconic artists growing up, like Joni Mitchell. There's no Mariah in there though, which is
I know. I should know. I probably should. I mean, my influences, I added, you know, I was a little bit older when those, you know, Joni and all of those amazing influences really started to get to me. But when I was much younger, you know, like Mariah Carey and Lauryn Hill and, you know, Celine Dion, and I just loved all of the like powerhouse female vocalists.
I hear you. I hear you. Okay, so now all of those kind of influences come to you, and your sound, again, I'm going to get to your sound, which I find very fascinating. And I also have comments about how it plays out on your record, Jokes and Me. But I want to see this circle that you've come to. So you listen to all of these people, or rather they were influential in your childhood as a singer. When you started making music, was there like what parts of those people did you think filtered themselves into your sound? Was it storytelling? Was it how they connected with people? What part of that did you bring into your music?
I think it kind of happens completely unconsciously. I mean, those artists have been, you know, ingrained in my DNA since I was young, and when I'm writing, I don't think of them. I don't think of, you know, the poetic lyrics of Joni Mitchell, or I don't think of, you know, John Prine's amazing songwriting or his ability to tell stories. I just draw on my own experience, and I write stuff, and it's just some of their influence just happens to come out in it. I think that's how it happens. It's not a conscious decision of I'm going to try to tell a story like this person, or I'm going to try to sing a melody like Joni. Like it's not quite so calculated. I think it's more just because of I've had those albums on repeat my whole life, that they just kind of flow through you.
I hear you. I'm very. I love Jokes on Me. Congratulations for putting out a great record. I want to talk about that vis-a-vis. I think a record you put out earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken, called "Dangerous Home." Am I correct?
It was a single, and it was in 2019. In 2019.
Oh, I see. Okay. So the last, there seems to be like a thread, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Jokes and Me, you explain it, kindly just explain what that song is about, and then I'll go back to my question.
Sure, sure. So Jokes on Me is about kind of the moment before kind of your last chance to get out of a bad situation. So it's a negotiation with yourself. And I think I don't know, I just have like an inkling of what you might ask and I might answer it here, but whereas Dangerous Home was very much about the relationship to another person, Jokes on Me is very much about the relationship with yourself. And asking yourself for help, really, because when you need to get out of something, the only person that can really help you is you. So that's what Jokes on Me is about.
Okay, and you say that process cannot be self-achieved most of the time, that you actually need to reach out and to find a way to find help to do it. Am I correct?
Often, yeah, but you need to be ready. I mean, if you've we've all been in tough situations before where you kind of have blinders on and you can't see the forest for the trees. Like you really don't understand that this situation is something that needs to change, and you need to be the person that finally says, I need help, instead of somebody telling you that.
I see. What do you think gets us there, though? What do you think gets us, I don't want to ask for a specific experience of yours, but just generally, what do you think gets a person to that place where they, I think the very last word on that song would be The Great Escape, I think, if I remember correctly. Right. What do you think leads a person to the place where they eventually make a decision to plot their great escape?
I mean, I think it depends on the person, but I think often it's hitting rock bottom, and whatever that means for you. Okay. If you're lucky, you get out before that, but I think that's often the case, is something irreparable happens, and a shift happens, and you realize.
Okay. I want to talk about the music itself. I noticed just right off the bat, it kind of had like a dark kind of a Western type of vibe to it. That's kind of like what I got. Maybe I'm wrong or not, but just tell me the process of creating the songs with the incredible producers that you worked with, and how the music turned out eventually in the end. Was it what you guys had envisaged when you started the process?
Yeah, this song started out very differently. It was kind of like a folk kind of train song, almost like Johnny Cash styles, and it was actually written kind of way back in 2018 probably, and yeah, it started out very differently, and then I brought it to Stuart and Peter, and they messed around with it a lot, and it's kind of them. I bring them these folk songs that I write, and then they just make them really cool. That's kind of our relationship, and we have a lot of ideas back and forth, because I have the melody and I have lyrics, and I know kind of what I want it to sound like usually, but this one was completely different. They kind of took it in a completely different direction, and I'm so grateful to them for that, because I love how it turned out. Okay.
Well, congratulations again. Tell me more about the body of work itself. I think the artwork as well is really beautiful. It almost feels like a painting, like an oil type painting. I love your picture in it, but tell me about the fuller body of work, Joan, and if it's a concept album, and what you're trying to say with the album itself.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a concept album. It's a collection of songs from a certain moment in time, and I love the cohesiveness that came out of that, because it's very personal, and that's why I named it Joan. Joan's my middle name, and a lot of my family and some of my close friends have only ever called me Joan my entire life. So it's kind of like a little snapshot into like a more personal more personal version of myself. And yeah, so we started recording this back in 2019. So and some of the songs were written right after my first record was released. So it's been a really long journey because we started recording this in 2019. I found out I was pregnant at that time while we were recording, and then the world shut down. So a lot of things happened to delay the release of this and getting it done. So it started out with me in Toronto recording these songs, and we finished it with me in my spare bedroom with a little setup, sending vocal tracks from Charlottetown, which wasn't my, favorite way to do it, but I'm really proud that we got it done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is there like a favorite track on the album, or is this something that you would you lean towards?
Call My Name is my favorite track on the album.
Okay. I'll definitely be looking out for that one.
And I wanted to say, because you mentioned the artwork, the artwork is done by an incredible couple here on the island who they do everything. They're actors, they're dancers, they're choreographers, they're amazing. Aaron Hastelow is the graphic designer, and Colton Curtis did the photography, and they're two friends, but they're also I just admire them so much. So I'm glad you brought it up, because I do think it's absolutely beautiful.
It's stunning. It's actually stunning. It's stunning. But yeah, so so what we do here in many ways than one is to just we love Canadian artists from the depths of our soul, and we love to encourage them, and we love to highlight them and bring the music to more people as best as we can. We want to say congratulations for the single, for the album that's dropping on the 25th. We're going to keep watching out for you and doing the best we can to support you as best as we can. A few more questions before I let you go here. I want to find out how you have managed in the last little while. I usually ask these questions to artists, and I want to find if they have changed at all because of what has happened in the world, and if they've changed personally or creatively, and what is it that they have taken away from all that has gone on so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's possible to have not changed through all of this for everybody. I've definitely, I had, in the midst of all of this, I had a baby. In July. She's almost a year old now, so she was.
Oh my! Congratulations.
I'll wait for the. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Come back.
Okay.
I was about 5 months pregnant when the world shut down. So, so she's changed my life, and she actually, as hard as it's been, because my whole family is one province over in New Brunswick, and they haven't been able to come here since October. So it's been very difficult, but it's also been amazing to have this, higher purpose in this little being. And she kind of puts things in perspective for me, where, releasing an album can be really difficult, and it can be, you're promoting things all of the time, and you're begging people to care, and you just want it to be listened to, and it can be a bit of an emotional roller coaster. But then if I get in my head about something, then I have to go back to this little girl who just brings me back into the moment. And I find that has been such a saving grace throughout all of this, throughout the pandemic, releasing an album, everything. So I'd say that's the biggest change. I mean, other than the fact that now I record stuff and send it via the internet to my producers. Yeah, I'd say that those are the biggest changes.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, thank you so very much for your time, Alicia. We're going to keep looking out for you, supporting you, doing the best we can to share your stuff on our page. But it has been a delight to talk to you today. Congratulations on the album. Congratulations on your baby. Congratulations. We're just wishing you all the good stuff that is to come for you. We wish you success with the album and also the single as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me. It was really nice to meet you.
No problem. Here as well. Okay. We'll keep talking for now. Take care. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.